Hello everyone and welcome back to another speed build. Now today, as you might already be able to see, I have been given a lovely shell. This is the Simsy, what is it called? Tiny Shell Challenge. I'm good at words. This is the tiny shell challenge. It is a 64 tile shell with some of the space I had added on for like the outdoors and stuff. It ends up not being a tiny home and instead is a small home, so in the 100 tile region in the end, but I'm very happy with the way it turns out. I've gone for this kind of semi-suburban, like industrial vibe with it, which is really weird. It's the idea as I started getting into it was sort of like a graphic designer or fashion photographer kind of home. So it was like kind of edgy and stylish, but also small, which I was really, really loving. So yeah, that's kind of what I went with. Now it was definitely not the easiest build to kind of come up with an idea for. The roofing was slightly interesting because we have that single tile that doesn't quite fit with the rest, so I ended up doing a little separate wall bit of the roof there just so I could get it set up, and then we had a nice overhang on the rest of it to make it all fit in quite nicely. But I was trying to get spacing to work in this place with like a set of stairs or something, and there just was not enough room to have like a bedroom or anything, so we ended up putting the stairs on the outside. Kind of like it kind of gives me like a slightly industrial vibe doing it like that, so I'm quite happy with the way that it looks, which is awesome. I took out the ceiling from the downstairs, which is why I had to add in a few extra tiles on the landing portion of the stairs, just because I wanted some windows in the roof part and I didn't want them to go to waste, and I felt like it looked a bit stupid if you were just having a window into like a roof section that wasn't in use. And I suppose if you really think about it, I could have utilized a bit more of the roof space, but I think it's technically against the rules if I were to do that, because I can't touch her walls is the phrase we've all heard when it comes to building shell challenges. Also, yeah, I totally know this is way late. She's already looked at all the ones that were for her contest, so like no biggie. I just kind of did it for fun. I was in a bit of kind of like a slight block sort of feeling, so I went in with this shell and kind of saw what I could do with it, and this is inevitably what I did. So that's pretty exciting. I think it definitely cleared up my block. I ended up building 2 other houses that day, which is very odd for me. I don't normally do that many in that little time, or anything at all, to be quite honest with you. I'm normally like half a build in the space of a day, but apparently that day I was like, right, I'm going all in. So I certainly did that. So like the idea with the industrial kind of vibe came from like these fences, which are I believe they're like the little holding cell prison fences from Get to Work. So yeah, I kind of liked them. I kind of went with the kind of rusty look because I thought it added a little bit of like an industrial vibe to the place without it going too overboard. And this entryway in here, I don't know why I decided that a big archway with some curtains was the right way to go with this, but I kind of liked the vibe, and I mean, like, it's still pretty safe. It's not like the most safe, obviously, but I kind of liked it, and The Sims is fantastical, so I can do what I want is basically the gist. This kitchen ends up being the best. I love this kitchen so much. It's cluttered and full of stuff, but also while it's still tiny, it looks like you could totally entertain in it, which is awesome. And then we've got this really, really tiny living space, but it's a tiny home, so what do you expect? Can't can't have big homes. Not in tiny homes. Can't have big living spaces and all that. So, yeah, I'm kind of at this point trying to work out my style with it fully, because I kind of, at this point I'd seen those fences and I was like, yeah, I want this to be slightly industrial, so I ended up going with a metal roof and then tying in these kind of rustic planks. But the inside is a bit more classy. As you can see, we have this really nice emerald kind of paneling on the main room, as well as like this slightly minty pale white, kind of like a really pale mint in the kitchen space. And now we're going into like the style. Like, I kept looking at this particular living space from like one particular angle because it looked like something I would find in a magazine or something. That was kind of the vibe I was going for, especially with this like little lamp here. And I wanted to make it look as much like it came out of a magazine as possible, was really the gist I was going for. But we do manage to fit in like another seat and like a television and all that in this little seating area. So I'm inevitably quite happy with it from like a stylistic standpoint, as well as just from making it look nice, I suppose. I don't really know what I'm saying. You'll soon find that with my buildings, when I'm doing voiceovers, I have no idea what I'm on about. I've just got to pad out 20 minutes or whatever of this build, because there's only so much of like, I chose to do this, that I can really say, because as much as I chose to do things, I didn't like go out of my way to make conscious choices on everything. I did choose the pink topiary there rather than the green one because it was a nice contrast. But yeah, some things are just not really super duper conscious decisions. Some of them I just do because it feels right. And trying to explain why you did something when the real answer is just it felt right is a bit weird, if you ask me. So enjoy. I stuck a few like art prints around. I got these really super duper duper safe candles just on the floor, because that's right underneath a curtain is right where you want a lovely open flame. I know it's what we all want. And I've accented a few things like the window and the door with some of these like big art shelf lighting things, but I've kind of kept the lighting in this room quite minimal. Again with candles, funnily enough, because we just like the idea of burning this place alive. And I've got this really cool lighting ceiling light, which is a conversion of the Sims 3 store's little mason jar lights, which I thought was really cool. I was a massive fan of that, so that's super exciting. And yeah, just accenting that front door, because you need a little bit of light when you come in. And yeah, when it was coming into the kitchen, I wasn't quite sure what to do in terms of lighting. I end up accenting the shelves. Like, you know how some people have like spotlights in their in the underside of their cabinets and stuff. That's kind of what I was going for there. But in terms of light, it doesn't give off too much, so I do go in with a larger light in the end, which you will see at some point. I must do this in such a stupid order. Sometimes I watch myself and I'm like, what happened to me doing stuff? I thought I was able to do stuff. So yes, there is the final light that goes in. It goes just above the little breakfast nook area. Originally I was going to have like 3 pendants going along, but they would have intersected with the fridge when the fridge opened, so I was like, meh, I'm good. But here you can see me going mad on the clutter when it comes to these shelves. I didn't want them to look empty. This is really the majority of the storage that this kitchen has, so might as well make it look as such. Because if you've got no kitchen space in terms of storage and you've just got plain shelves, it looks like no one lives there. Like if it's a big enough kitchen, sure. but little kitchens, they need the clutter. They just don't look right. So yeah, this is basically what I've gone for. I've kind of decided to just do things, stack them up, make it look full, make it look cluttered. Tried not to repeat items. I've got these cute little jars of like cookies on one side, but they all do have different things in them, so that's okay. And we've got some saucepans here because it makes sense for there to be some form of like pots and pans up on the wall because they haven't really got storage at all. They've got like a few drawers in those cupboards, but the space is kind of limited, so it makes a lot of sense if you ask me. So that's cool. And I actually used it's like a little laundry basket item up on the top shelf, but I figured like just a plain old wicker basket can go well anywhere. And I like the idea of this sim that was going to live here being quite a heavy tea drinker, so we had a big tea display that came with Get Together, and thought I'd put some mugs up there, as well as some like more decorative mugs that you are now seeing. And then I tried to put some plates and glasses and stuff on this. I stack up a bunch of these plates and bowls. Every time I do anything in this house, all of the plates and bowls that are stacked, apart from the base one, seem to end up in my household inventory. And I have really no idea why. So, after putting them in like 2 or 3 times, I gave up, unfortunately. I just wasn't getting it to work, so there's just one set in the pictures, I believe, in the end. But there we go. Now I'm just decorating the cupboard, not the cupboard area, like the cabinet. No, that's not the right word either. Don't listen to me. Counters. I'm trying to decorate the counters area. I wanted to be conscious of the fact that they needed at least one counter that could be usable for cooking, so I've tried to keep one relatively minimal while still having like chopping boards out and stuff like that, so it looks kind of lived in. But I think in the end it turns out to be a really, really nice looking kitchen. We've got like a little set of wine glasses, and interesting thing I found out about that wine rack, that one from the kitchen, is it like literally slots into the underside of surfaces. So I've slotted it into the underside of this shelf, and it works really, really nicely. I'm kind of chuffed with the way that turned out, and I added some cute little plants underneath to make it look kind of cute and homey, as well as being quite interesting as like a little entertaining area, because we weren't going to fit in a bar or anything here, but having like a nice wine rack is definitely a way of saying I'm here for the entertainment sort of thing. And we have got this really nice outdoor area which you could definitely use for entertaining, so that's definitely something. But I did want to try and fit some kind of dining area in here. This dining table here ends up being way too big, so you know, disregard that. Nobody's going to be able to get into those chairs, but I do go with a little round little table and some cute little tub kind of dining seats, which are really, really cute. And I figured that at least one of those seats will be able to be used, and I think it just looks like super cute. I wish there was a way you could like properly tuck chairs under tables as if it was like unused most of the time, and then you could pull it out, kind of like a fold away table, I suppose. That would have been a nice touch to add to Tiny Living, actually. Like to have like a dining table that either extends or something like that. I don't know how you'd get it to work animation wise, so I do understand why it wasn't added or anything like that. Like, totally fine with me. Also, side note, getting wallpaper or wall colouring or whatever on that little tiny bit of wall where that one tile little piece of roof is was very interesting. But in the end, we've got this really, again, quite a juxtaposition between like the suburban look and the kind of industrial kind of thing we've got going on by having like some super white wood sliding as well as some really like decaying looking brick. I kind of like the vibe of both, and I think they work kind of well together. So happy with what I did there for sure. And this bedroom here, I've just carried the wood up the whole way. Once again, every time I saw something that said 1 item moved to your household inventory, I was like, yeah, that's my plates. And it happened so many times that I stopped trying, basically. So that's just how it was. Now I'm adding banana leaf because I love banana leaf. The banana leaf patterns are really good. The one thing I don't like about the full height banana leaf is the fact that the original colours aren't there. So you can't get the original colouring of the banana leaf pattern in the full height look, which is a bit of a shame, but there's definitely some awesome versions of it, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And I ended up using the original anyway because I figured it looked better with that bedding, but kind of went with like a nice light green kind of area and lots of clothing space because this sim is quite stylish, as I'm sure you kind of worked out from the living space and the fact I actually use Moschino stuff somewhere in this house. It's not very often that I actually use Moschino stuff in my builds, like on an everyday basis, but this one worked out for me as something that could really vibe with the Moschino, I can't even say it, Moschino kind of look, so that was awesome. And the bathroom, I think the bathroom is actually super cute. It's small for sure, but I like it. I liked using the kind of like the khaki kind of Japanese tiles alongside the kind of the subway glass tiles that you see a lot. I like the mix of the two. I thought that was quite nice. And I kind of wanted to add a bit of decoration rather than it just being just like a simple little bathroom. So I've tried to do that as much as I can. We've got a little towel display there, and I kind of stacked it up with a few like bath items and a towel. So quite happy with that since the sink was a bit small in this one. And I've gone with a little bit of artwork from Tiny Living, which is quite fitting, I suppose, for what we're doing. And I was originally going to use these rugs for like doing like bath mat, shower mat sort of thing, and I inevitably gave up on that because it wasn't quite the way I was feeling. So left that, but instead of having like cute decorations, I ended up going with like some kind of industrial looking pipes. These actually came with City Living. Is it called City Living? Island Living, Tiny Living, City Living. Yeah. If they don't have the word get in, most of the time they have the word living in. That's the gist. I suppose I should really pay attention to that sometimes. Rather than just being like, is it this? I'm not sure. I went with some cute little tiny bits of tiling for the backsplash there because I forgot I had them, and it worked out quite nicely. It's adding a bit of like a backsplash kind of detail to it, and I was considering adding a hot tub, but nah, don't need a hot tub in this place. I did, however, add a barbecue, and I also added the succulent bathtub from Strangerville. I've been wanting a place to use that where it just fit nicely because I love it. As an item, I just think it's really cool. So I've shoved it out here. I like the idea of this sim being a bit out there and quirky. Like, they wouldn't live in a house like this if they weren't slightly out there and quirky. So that's kind of what I did. We've got this lovely outdoor kind of wicker area. Got a nice big wicker chair, like all those old 70s albums, having big wicker chairs and all that sort of fun stuff. And we've got this cool little fire that looks really nice out here as well. I just like the way this place looks at nighttime. That's probably my favourite way this place looks. So that's pretty cool. But I've gone with like wicker furniture all the way around this place. So even in the kind of outdoor eating area, I've gone with that. And I was struggling to find lighting for this place that was really what I was after. So I ended up going with the tree from Movie Hangout stuff, because that's actually a lit tree. Looks really, really cool and has like lanterns hanging from it in a lot of directions, and it works really nicely. It's like being... I could see a sim just like hanging those up and forgetting they were there, and having it just be a really cool part of the way their house looks or something like that. So that's kind of what I did there. And we're pretty much coming to the end of this now. Just got to do a little bit of like finishing touches and like lighting on the outside and stuff like that. But I really, really love the way this looks, and I'd totally live in a place like this. Maybe with a door on the archway, instead of just having a plain old archway and a curtain. It's maybe not quite my vibe, but I like the I like what this place has got going on, so super happy with it and really glad it turned out the way it did. So yeah, I guess that's just what I came up with for the tiny shell. I'm sure a bunch of other people have come up with some really awesome stuff that's completely different to this, and that's one of the coolest things about the shell challenges, because things are so vastly different for some people. People do crazy stuff with these shell challenges, and I can never compete, but I like doing this and I'm happy with what I did. It kind of brought me out of my comfort zone a little bit, doing something a little bit more, I don't know, like structured, I suppose. Like I already had the structure in place, so I just had to work with that and roof it in the best way I can, which I'm kind of a lazy roofer most of the time, but I think this roof turned out really nicely. So yeah, just I hate to sit here and be like, go me, but honestly, go me on this particular one. I feel super proud of the way I dealt with the challenge. And hey, if Lil Simsy is watching this for whatever reason, sorry, I kind of ruined your shell, but I'm happy with it, so be it, I guess. It's probably not the best way to introduce myself to Lil Simsy. My apologies. Kayla, if you are watching this, like, great idea. Like, bringing these shell challenges to people. It's a really cool idea for getting people out of their comfort zone as well. And I've loved doing it. And I enjoy your videos in general. So, good on you. Keep doing what you're doing. So, yeah. I guess that's the build, everyone. Sorry for being a bit crazy, but I hope you've enjoyed that. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.